Shout out to Caressa for sending me this story right here. And if you don't know who this guy is, this is none other than Lindsey Graham. And he is currently actually running for re-election right now for the state of South Carolina for his position. And he done went and put his foot into his mouth with a statement that he recently said, but a lot of these individuals have been doing that quite a bit lately, so it doesn't surprise anyone. So basically, Lindsey Graham came out and he said young black people can quote unquote go anywhere in the state of South Carolina as long as they are conservative. So basically what he's trying to say is that if you are anything else but conservative as a black person, you do not have the rights and privileges of those who are, which just to me screams utter bullshit. Let me go ahead and get into it. In a candidate forum with the South Carolina Senate race contenders, Senator Lindsey Graham has said he did not believe there was systemic racism in his state, insisting young black people would be safe as long as they are conservative. So basically, he's trying to say that systemic racism does not exist in the state of South Carolina, although that can definitely be debatable. Let's not forget that South Carolina did not have a hate crime law on it until 5 years ago. When a certain event happened in his state, Lindsey Graham, you should remember it because you was in your position at the time, where you had an individual by the name of Dylan Roof who committed what would be considered one of the biggest domestic terrorism style attacks on a majority black church and killing 9 people. And he said his intent was to start a race war. Unless we've already forgotten about that. No one will ever forget that day. Those who were around then will never forget that. Graham made the comment during what was initially going to be another head-to-head debate on Friday with Democratic contender Jaime Harrison. The format for the televised event was changed after Graham had refused the request by Harrison to take a woo-woo test beforehand. Instead, both candidates were questioned for 30 minutes each on a range of issues, laying out their pitches for the state's voters. After being asked about what legislations he proposed to end police brutality, he said he believed in law enforcement reform and that while the people behind the killing of George Floyd was wrong and people should pay the price. Notice how he said that. He said it was wrong and that people should pay the price. He didn't specify what people. When we know what he should have said, but we know he won't say. He went on to say that what is happening in America is a war on the police itself. They keep throwing that out there. There is no war on the police. And if there is a quote unquote war on them, it's a war that they brought on themselves. It's not like people went out there just to go after them just for the hell of doing it. They brought it on themselves because they wanted a quote unquote war to occur. Do I believe that our cops are systematically racist? No. Do I believe that South Carolina is a racist state? No. He said, to young people of color, to young immigrants, this is a great state. All this guy is doing is completely lying through the entire thing. He said, do I believe that our cops are systematically racist? No. Oh, there's evidence to prove that many of them are. And as far as South Carolina being a racist state, and him saying no to that too, he's lying some more. And that, I thought it was the end of the article, but there's more. I am asking every African American out there, look at my record, he said, referring to how he supported historically black colleges and universities. I care about everybody. If you are a young African American immigrant, you can go anywhere in this state. You just need to be conservative, not liberal. Let me focus on the part where he said that he's donated money to HBCUs. A lot of them do that to take the heat off of them. Many of them wish they didn't have to do it, and some of them do it for a tax write-off purposes anyway. And they do it to cover their ass when situations like this occur. This is just like the whole, oh, I can't be racist because I have a black spouse. Oh, I can't be racist because my child is quote unquote mixed or biracial. It's the same thing. They do these things so they can try to hide themselves of being a racist. Just like with that new potential person, that Amy chick who's supposed to be taking Ruth Bader Ginsburg's position, the nominee. She adopted 2 Haitian children, a boy and a girl, And people were saying, well, she can't be racist because she adopted 2 Haitian children. So there, the racism talk gets thrown out the window. I swear these individuals are so tone deaf and so blinded, it's not even funny. It's scary. But let's continue. Oh, he also said when he was talking about you can go anywhere in the state, you just need to be conservative and not liberal. So to the black people out there who live in South Carolina, if you are a liberal, meaning you are more left-leaning, he's basically telling you that you have no liberties, excuse me, or freedoms to go anywhere. You are locked in a cage, you're locked in a box. So unless you reconsider your position as part of political leanings, you're not going anywhere, according to Lindsey Graham, of course. Speaking before Graham, Harrison was also asked about race and law enforcement. By the way, his opponent is a black man. He was challenged about a tweet in which he said that just as slavery was ended, we can end the epidemic of police brutality in this country and root out the systemic racism that oppresses communities of color across South Carolina and our entire country. Harrison said he believed in a register for law enforcement, having a national standard for use of force, demilitarizing police, but he did not back defunding the police. There are some bad apples in the system that we need to be rooted out. We need to bring some accountability to the system. The pandemic was a key topic in the forum, with Harrison pointing to Graham's refusing to take the test after being in a hearing room with 2 people who had tested positive for the virus. So Lindsey Graham is acting just like his buddy 45. We have to take this thing seriously. We need our leaders to actually lead by example, Harrison said. The race for the Senate is tight, with both candidates locked in a dead heat in the race with 48% each, according to a Quinnipiac University poll of likely voters conducted before the presidential debate. This was unchanged from a survey on September 16th, which also showed both candidates each getting 48% of support. But yeah, that doesn't surprise me coming from Lindsey Graham, the words that came out of his mouth. That's a stance that I would expect him to take. And him saying that, oh, if you are conservative, you can go anywhere you want. So basically what he's saying is, he is separating his black people up. He feels that if you are a conservative, you are a good black. If you are a liberal, you're a problematic black. According to him, South Carolina does not have systemic racism. He says that the police are not racist. And when he says police, he's talking about widespread. So he's just on the opposite side of everything. But the part that should worry a lot of black people who live there are the ones when he says about the conservative and liberals traveling or moving in a way that no one else can. Listen, when the cops, or should I say the terrorists, decides to shoot a black person, they're not asking them beforehand when they pull that trigger, hey, are you a conservative or a liberal? Because that's going to determine if I kill you tonight or not. They're not asking that. And the way he frames that, he's making it seem like that's what they do, when that's definitely not. If they see a black person that they decide to go after, they're going to do it, and they're going to pull that trigger, no questions asked. Because I'm almost certain not every black person that has been killed by these terrorists are left-leaning people. Some of them might have been 45 supporters, or maybe not a 45 supporter, but lean politically to the right, or conservatives. But they're not sitting there asking them beforehand before they do what they do and saying, well, if you are this way or that way, I won't kill you. So Lindsey Graham, he can take his whole little notion just based off of that example I just gave you, and he can shove it up his stupid looking ass.